Ooh, this still is a lot shorter than I was expecting. As I've been reworking my style of content and thinking about what I want my pieces of work I post online to look like, this video right here is gonna be a little bit of an outlier. It's gonna be less narrative and idea-based and more so reflective on the events of this past year. As this video is premiering, I have been doing freelancing video work for the past 365 days, and I'm pretty pumped that I am doing this thing. Yes, I currently live with my parents as I attempt to pay off the debt I racked up from overspending due to coping with OCD, and I'm also sharing an office with my guinea pigs. But we're making progress and the light is at the end of the tunnel, baby. So I wanted to do a video where I sort of reflect back on this past year and think about what did I learn in my first year of freelancing? I just did the thing where I say the title of the video within the video. And maybe if you're also freelancing or you're wanting to do it, then you can take some of my tips and better equip yourself in your freelance journey. People are leaving their traditional jobs to go make Etsy shops, and that's awesome. Why not try and set yourself up for as much success as possible when you decide to take that big step into the great unknown world of employment independence? I'm going to break everything down into 3 categories: money, work, and personal. Number 1, money. The following things are what I think about when I reflect back on saving money as I prepped to leave my full-time job. How much money are you planning on saving before you leave your desk job? Great. Save even more. Just cause. I think I saved an okay amount for what my expenses were at that time. I wish I would have saved even more. Find out what your expenses are currently, and then find out what your expenses are going to be when you're out working on your own. Take into consideration things like health insurance, business insurance, taxes, software, hardware, asset purchases, midday coffees, etc., etc., etc. As I previously mentioned, I had and still have debt. Going in freelancing, I was like, I got this. I'm gonna get it paid off. This will be all good. And what I really should have done was been focusing for the year or 6 months prior at really getting that debt knocked out and taken care of. That way, when it comes time for me to have a less stable income, my money doesn't have to go to things like paying off a PayPal balance or towards a Target red card. Plan where your money is going. Create a budget that works for you and then stick to it. I'm not always the best at sticking to a budget because I'll budget, then things will get better, and then I'm like, yeah, I got this. Life is great. My cares go out the window, and I'm sort of back where I started. Don't do that. Plan a roadmap of where your money is going and then follow that map that you've created. Number 2, work and business. For me, I would say that work takes into consideration things like content creating, business goals, where I get work, those type of things. Whatever falls into the business bucket, that is going to be different for you than it is for me. It's different things for different people. As I go through these things for work, I've phrased a lot of them in the form of questions that you can also ask yourself. What are your goals for your business? I always thought that I wanted to be an entrepreneur because I saw entrepreneur in like Instagram bio, and I was like, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. I want to have a business. But then I realized what came with that, and I thought about what I want out of what I create. Are you someone that wants to have a business where you have 100 employees underneath you? Are you someone that wants to have a brick and mortar location where clients and customers can come to you? Think about what your goals are for the short term and for the long term. I found myself really reassessing things at times because I realized certain actions and steps I was taking did not align with what I wanted to do for my business. Ask yourself, why do you want to work for yourself? Is it because you don't want to have somebody to answer to? Because at the end of the day, you're still going to be answering to someone, whether that be the IRS, the customer purchasing your goods, the audience you're creating entertainment for. Personally, I really wanted to spend more time on my own projects. Right now, it's a little after 3 on a Tuesday, and I'm getting to work on this YouTube video. Even though I'm not making money from it, not yet at least, I'm still getting to spend time on my own passion to create something that I'm proud of. Figure out where your jobs will come from. The majority of my income is from video editing. I can do it basically anywhere. My grandparents' house, outside, inside, in a box, with a fox, on a rug, in a mug, with a hat, wearing a rat. Most of my video editing jobs come from a freelancing website that I use. When I first started on my own, it took me a little while to find a place where I would be able to secure the jobs that I was really wanting to work on. How do you achieve the deadlines that you're not required to set? Let me elaborate. Like I said, I started on this freelance journey because I wanted to have more time to work on my own projects. Shout out to Okies and my podcast, Lessons I've Learned. Make sure that you check both of those out. The link is in the description. When it comes to your own projects, you might not necessarily have a deadline for those things. Set them anyway. This video, for example, I knew I wanted it done by July 1st so that I could publish it in line with my 1-year freelancing anniversary. That's a deadline I needed to force myself to hit. Right now, I don't want to be working on this video. I just don't want to be doing it. I just don't want to. There's other things I would rather be doing. But what would you do if it was the night before a big presentation for your boss and you were still a page short on your presentation? You would stay up and finish it. So treat your own art like that. Now, the one caveat is important things do come up, and the great thing about working on your own projects is that you can move back those deadlines and the chance that you need to because of an emergency. Broke your leg and you need to get some rest? An emergency. RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars is premiering and you just really don't want to work on your video project? Not an emergency. This is for myself, Matthew. Do your work. Number 3, personal. So these are things that I would consider most important to me because they bleed out into sort of every aspect of my life. They ultimately relate back more so to my mental health and well-being, but I do think that that's an essential part of taking care of your business and your work. Be okay with the idea that you might not always have work coming in. Once you realize that, you'll start planning for those times when things are slow. It's okay to not always have new jobs coming in. It's not okay to not have a plan for when you do not have new jobs coming in. Give yourself time off. Get your work done, but if you're ahead of schedule and you've been knocking things out of the park, sleep in if you want. Stay up a little bit later if you want. As long as you're carrying out your responsibilities, your schedule can look however you want it to look. Speaking of time management, I'm only just recently realizing that even though I have a ton of ideas and I can do whatever I want, I can't do everything that I want all at the same time. I had to identify what's important to me and spend time focusing on that goal instead of hopping from one goal to another, creating this insignificant progress on all of my projects at the same time. Another sort of time management thing, figure out some way to keep things scheduled and organized. I'm a sucker for productivity hacks. So over the last few years, I've shaped and pulled different things that work for me to create my own system. You can do whatever works best for you. Get as intense and thorough as a bullet journal, or even get super simple like a plain calendar. Either one works. Just something that helps you take everything from up here and put it into a physical version that you can refer back to. I also find it really beneficial to meditate. It really helps to give me perspective on my situations and helps to get me out of my head. Finally, my biggest thing that I learned in probably not just the personal area of my freelancing journey, but overall is just figuring out how my brain works and then work with how it naturally reacts with the world. Imagine your brain is a river and all of your hopes and dreams is this blueprint for a town that's supposed to be built in the same area as the river. To work against your brain is to try and move that river and relocate it to a different location. It's possible, but at the end of the day, you're going to spend a lot of time on something that wouldn't be necessary if you were to build alongside the river. Yes, some of the overstretching streams might not be necessary, and you very well might need to do work that repairs those things before you can start building your town. Overall, if you assess how the river flows and then build with that pre-existing system, it's going to save you a lot of time and energy in the long run. If you also freelance, or even if you just like to do things, you might have heard some of my points and you don't really agree with them. This is just a compilation of things that I have learned currently, that I sort of take with me from this past year. What about you? Are you freelancing or working for yourself? What tips and tricks do you have? What are some things that you've learned? Is freelancing even something that you want to do? Do you like the stability of a full-time job? Honestly, I miss that part. After this past year of craziness, I think that we all learned that predictability can sort of be nice. Lastly, before I close out, this is sort of a video that I would like to do every year, just sort of looking back over the past year and seeing how my business is doing and things along those lines. So I want to go over a few things that I'm hoping to accomplish as I go into this next year. I'm going to get everything in place and secured to create an LLC. I'm going to be speaking with a financial and business advisor on investing and placing my business in the best possible place for the future. I'm going to be treating my content output and creation more along the lines of a client relationship. So I'll be really planning, scheduling, and creating curated posts. I'll be networking more and pitching myself to others. I'm going to be really trying to hone in on my brand and voice of my company, as well as focus on what my goals and targets are. And I'd love to have enough work where I can eventually hire someone to help with filming, scheduling, emailing, bounce ideas off of, etc. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share and then subscribe. Hit that little bell so that way you'll be notified whenever I post a video in the future. Make sure to check out Okies and Lessons I've Learned. All that information is in the description box. And I hope you had a great day. If you did not, then tomorrow is just another chance to make the day great. Peace out, Girl Scout.